Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hear Me Out Pitch. I'm Tim,
And I'm Willem.
and this week's going to be a different type of episode, I think.
It's definitely different because, once again, we did a movie that was reviewed terribly, didn't perform well, and yet I kind of liked it. There are things that I didn't. It wasn't perfect.
No,
But
but
this-
in all honesty, it was a decent movie. Like, it was a movie I would watch
It
again.
was like looking in a dirty mirror.
Uh-huh. We took this movie and we went into it thinking, okay, this is probably going to be, anywhere between Star Wars Episode 6 or
Babylon 80.
Babylon
Oh,
80.
more like
somewhere. It's somewhere in there. I mean, that's the entire range.
Yeah,
But
entire range, you know.
it's going to be somewhere, but we didn't expect. I don't think we expected to like it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like Season of the Witch. I didn't hate that movie.
Yeah.
It was decent. It was just
Yeah.
different.
I think I'd take this movie over Season of the Witch.
Really?
I think so.
Okay, well, for everyone, well, you've all seen the title. We did Gemini Man, the movie that Will Smith recently did during COVID, and I also can think that was a reason why it didn't perform very well.
I think COVID is part of why it flopped so hard.
We all were terrified to go to theaters. But the CGI for some of so for all of you who don't know what this is about a covert operationalist. Is that how you say that? I don't know. Just a man he's an assassin. His name is Henry. I don't remember his last name. But Henry, played
Henry
by
Roderick, something like that.
Rogers. I don't know. Well,
I don't
we need
remember.
to start making a list of the characters. But also we have our phones. We can always look that up.
That's what I'm doing right now.
But Henry is one of the best assassins in the world. He has done things for his country and for his government that, he felt like he was doing the best, taking down terrorists. In the beginning of the movie, we see him taking out a Russian terrorist who is seen as a threat. He is watching him on a rail train, and it's going as fast. He does calculations in his head, and he shoots at a distance ahead of the train, and he ends up hitting him in the neck. But he was aiming for the head, and that made him want to retire.
And it freaked him out
Yeah.
because he was 4 to 6 inches off.
Yeah, and he could have hit that little girl.
And there was a little girl in play, not too far away from the guy that he shot. And he said if he had been off by 6 inches in any other direction, he would have hit the girl.
And it really messed him up. But this just goes into he wants to retire, and then all of a sudden everything's going to hell in his life. He's getting hunted down, and it turns out it is the government agency that he had been working for. And, they need to send the best assassin to take care of him. And they sent a clone of him.
Mm-hmm.
A clone of Will Smith 20 years younger.
And Henry
Brogan.
That's his
30 years younger. That's right. He's 30 years
25.
younger. Yeah. Did it say 20? I thought they
It
were
was
saying
25.
30.
It was 25.
Okay. I swear at the end of the movie they were like...
So how it happened is Clay Varys, who ends up being the bad guy,
Who was awesome.
was awesome. He took a blood sample from Henry Brogan, Will Smith's
There's
character.
so many. It's basically like Batman Beyond.
Kind of.
Sorry, random tangent. Have you seen the art?
I have.
Oh, I'm so angry. I don't want to talk. So, for everyone out there who doesn't know, they came out with art for a concept art of the scrapped animated Batman Beyond movie, which was going to have the same people who did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And it looks wonderful, and I feel like we were robbed. But this movie just gave me that vibe, as well as, what other movie we were saying? It was something. Oh, they felt like it was clones, like in Star Wars. It was insane. I was like,
Yeah.
and I really want to see a story of. So for everyone out there, this is basically just if Boba Fett was made to hunt down Jango Fett.
Yeah.
And now I want to see that story.
Yeah.
I would watch that wholeheartedly.
That is honestly what this movie is about. And it's weird,
And Count Dooku would do that.
and he would. I feel like this movie brings up a topic of debate, an ethical issue that a lot of us try to avoid, or when we do talk about it, we go so in depth that we lose the actual meaning of what we're talking about.
Stop calling me out right now.
I no, I'm talking about
In general, I
in
know, but
general.
that I do that a lot.
In high school, I had to write an ethical paper for my English class about clones.
Really?
Uh-huh. We learned about Dolly the sheep, who, if you don't know who Dolly the sheep is, she was the first clone, the first living creature that was cloned,
But they did that kind
and
of
that was back in
99.
97.
No, 97. 97.
97.
That's right. Because I remember seeing all the ads. Well, some of my earliest memories is from PBS Kids, and they had this big little section about her, and it was insane. But that was just, they took her DNA, they took a DNA of a sheep, and they basically kind of did what the Batman Beyond thing did, and they put it into a baby fetus, a fetus of a lamb, and that fetus grew into a little copy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that's what happens in this movie
Which
as well.
basically means you're just siblings.
Kind of.
But it is weird, but I honestly don't find it like insane because he doesn't have his memories. He just has, but I don't see how it would be exactly the same because
Physically. So I'm gonna take it
no, if you know, please do.
in
You know all
an
about it. If you've
interesting
done
way,
this,
in an interesting direction. So if I was cloned,
okay,
right? My clone is not me.
No.
I'm not my clone.
No.
We are two separate people. We would have the exact same features. We would have the exact same the exact same metabolism. We would have the same
so would they have
physical
sorry.
attributes, but our personalities would be different
Yeah,
because we would have grown up in different environments, right? We would have different interests, again, different environments, and we would be different people. I have my soul, to speak, and he would have his own.
which some people might argue that they don't, but
If it's a living sentient creature,
it should.
it should. And that's the topic for debate, right? The whole ethical issue. Are clones people?
So my question is though, how would they? Because it's not your father's sperm and your mother's egg that's making this clone. This might be awkward for Mr. Godfrey. I'm so sorry if he's like
So what it is when you fertilize, in all actuality, you are bonding the DNA. You're creating the DNA.
So how do they get that? How do they get
That
Tim's DNA?
is already created now, right? So if I'm cloning myself, I take my DNA and I put it in, and
you replace
it's already
like
there.
the
I replace everything that's
so
already
it's basically you're coding. You're literally coding.
there. Yeah.
Man, if my dad ever hears this episode, he'll go, "Yep, I'm pretty sure we had this discussion about DNA because there was this big thing he was reading about it." Here's a fun fact for everybody about twins, clones, which is funny because many people see twins as Geminis. I believe that's where it comes from, the name. Anyway,
Gemini twin.
if two identical twin boys and two identical twin, I should say men, if two identical twin men and brothers and sisters, two identical twin sisters, married each other, and each of those couples had children, those children would have the same genetic closeness as siblings, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
You're not just cousins, you are by blood. If you took a sample of each other's blood, you would count as siblings because twins are just clones. Because if identical twins are just clones, they're so bizarre and it's so cool.
One of the identical twins is a clone, and the other is the original. Because how it works is when the eggs are, or when the cells are splitting, sometimes they split too far and they become separated.
My family has twins in our family, so there's a good chance me and my wife could have twins if that ever happens. I'm just kidding.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
But hopefully not twins. If it was boy and girl though off the bat, then I'm done. We're good right there. Anyway, but so it's just, I don't find it super unethical, really. It's I honestly would pay money to, this might be terrible, but I would love to have, well, there's that weird movie about, I think it was from Michael Bay, and they have an island full of clones that they've made, and basically they're just a bank for your body. So let's say there's a clone that you thought is paid for in a tube, and it's just sitting there waiting. And let's say all of a sudden, oh my gosh, Tim, your heart's failing. There's a healthy 24 Tim in a lab that they're going to just take the heart from and give it to you.
Huh.
You know, you will just have an insurance policy. But this island, this company has actually been keeping them alive and sentient and awake because they need to make sure that your body's functioning and normal and everything. Like one terrible scene is they have one clone woman is pregnant and she gets called off the island and she's all happy. And then they show the scene of her giving birth in this lab. And then they just inject her and sedate her and she goes to sleep. And she was done. She served her purpose. And all this family was doing is they made a clone of her having healthy organs to be able to produce a baby. And that to me was nuts. I was like, this is so unethical. That to me is unethical because those were living human beings. They're just basically like siblings.
Yeah.
To me, at least. Like, I think of Batman Beyond. I love Terry McGinnis. When I learned that he's technically a clone of Bruce Wayne, he never saw him as anything less. He had his father, but Bruce Wayne became I don't know. Sorry, I love this type of stuff. And we all were obsessed with cloning in the late 90s. And I remember all the Spider-Man series with all the clones they came out with. Ben Reilly is one of my favorites. Terry McGinnis is one of my favorite. We had clones of Superman like Superboy. And technically Bizarro is a clone originally. And it's just, oh, I love clones. Oh, sorry, everyone. You're probably like, get on with the freaking movie. But I feel like this.
In all honesty, the movie was good.
It was.
The movie was good. I only have a couple criticisms.
I hated the motocross chase
CGI,
scene.
some of the CGI was janky and weird.
It looked like it was from the early 2010s, not 2020 bragging that this is the best. Because some scenes with young Will Smith looked absolutely wonderful.
I agree.
But there was something off.
There was something off. So there was the clone, right? Junior.
Junior.
Is what they named him. Later renames himself to Jackson.
Love it.
Anyway, Junior is a clone of Henry Brogan. And they did the CGI, and it was literally just, they took Will Smith and they just CGI, they used CGI to make him younger.
Yeah.
And it worked for the most part, but there were some scenes. There were some scenes, for me, the fight scenes didn't bother me as much as some of the other stuff. The face of Junior just didn't, it wasn't right. His mouth would move when it didn't need to, and it looked wrong.
It was like Henry Cavill with his CGI'd mustache off.
Yeah.
You've never seen that, have you?
I have, actually.
Okay, it's terrible.
But then the eyes also. Here's an issue, and this goes beyond just CGI. This is animating, this is drawing, painting, etc. Eyes are difficult. From an artist's perspective, I can tell you that I have a really hard time drawing eyes. It's just there's so much going on, and usually your brush is too big to get all the little details.
Yeah, it's insane.
And with CGI, with this movie in particular, the eyes just looked so dead. He looked zombified
I
from
kind of
his
liked
eyes.
it though.
I didn't.
Because he was just so far not, he didn't have a purpose. I thought the end of the movie it looked a little better, and maybe that's what they
I
were
thought it
trying
looked
to do.
worse.
Really? Oh yeah, because it was like in the middle of the day,
Uh huh.
and the movie is almost 4 years old, but it just they should
It's
have
almost 5
they
years old.
should have they should have there was a scene where they're fighting in the catacombs,
Hmm.
and he had a mask on for gas, and he should have just kept that on. They should have just done cheesy tricks to.
Yeah.
They should have two different masks because Henry knew that he was going to use gas, and they should have just had two actors fighting, or at least Will Smith doing it, and they wouldn't have to use CGI. Like little cheap tricks like that. But the motocross scene, everything was CGI. The whole thing. And I'm like, you couldn't just do the cheap thing, put a helmet on, but they really wanted to show, like, look at us, we can make Will Smith young again. I'm like, I get it, but I still vote for
Hmm.
Jaden Smith getting prosthetics on to look more like his dad, because there are some pictures of Jaden that I'm like, that is Will Smith. He even
I
has a son that looks just like him.
Yeah. I agree to a point. I think they could do the same. They could do that, or honestly, if they just pump a little bit more money into the
That's why I'm saying do the
CGI.
cheap things with the. I would have not done the motocross scene. And as far as we know, this movie is an original movie. We've tried really hard to find.
We looked, and there's a book, but it has nothing to do with this movie. And then
There was a movie tie-in book,
there was another movie tie-in.
but
That,
but so far this is its own thing, and so I was just so confused why they really want to try to show off, but this wasn't supposed to be about like motocross or having all these crazy things. It's supposed to be just a man getting hunted down, like literally hunted by his ghosts, and it has ironically turned into a younger version of himself.
he's being hunted by the version of himself that he wants to leave behind.
Yeah, and I thought that was a great concept, which
I
they
agree.
could have just expounded on. And I felt like he should have. I felt like um, Benedict Wong's character should have been killed early on from that assassin.
Either that or having more of him.
Yeah, and remind me of
He-
the actress's name who played.
It's
I can never remember her name. She is
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
love her so much. She's currently married to our favorite Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor. Actually, no, he's not your favorite Obi-Wan Kenobi, is he?
Oh, he is mine.
Oh, okay.
Alec Guinness is like right there,
Well, duh.
but
What about Clone Wars? Like the voice actor?
he's good. Is it not the same?
No, it's not Ewan. It's
Someone else.
Yeah, it's a voice actor, and he just captures his voice so well. He actually does all the clones too, I believe. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Mary Elizabeth Winstead plays Danny Zakaruski in the movie.
She's Ramona in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and I was very embarrassed because every time they show her, I don't know how this woman looks younger the older she gets, but she looked amazing in this movie, and I had a crush on her from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and I need to watch Ahsoka because she's a Twi'lek or whatever that alien race is called,
She's Hera Syndulla.
who is gorgeous. Definitely will. It's only been 19 minutes.
Honestly, nothing else to say about this movie.
You know, there's a few things I can talk about.
Like, there's like one thing, and it's just yeah.
Well, let's go
But yeah,
through.
I think the only thing aside from the CGI that I would actually change. Okay, there are two things. More of Benedict Wong's character, because I love him as an actor. He's such a good actor, and the characters he plays are always awesome.
He's a great actor.
He is, and he does a great job. And I just wish we'd seen a little bit more of him in this movie, having him interact, because he was you know how in Indiana Jones there's the pilot
Yeah.
in the first one,
Yeah.
and he plays his part, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like that, but with Benedict Wong, and I would have liked more of
And he
his character.
dies by just getting blown up.
He does just blow up, which doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the fact that we didn't see much of him.
No, could have been no. There are so much to me that I think that could have made this movie top tier. I think we should have had less of him. I don't know, because I don't really want Junior to kill his friends, but I want him to show like how good he is, and maybe even like shoot them and wound them, and he like calls them later on, and it's like I could have, for a fact I could have killed them. But I think one of the biggest things I would have wanted is I would have wanted more of the unethical clones at the end. Because there was that one...
Either that or none of it.
Or none of it, you're right. But I think
that's the other thing.
But he wanted to make... I would have made it that he had a whole facility of them. Like, he was ready, he got him ready, he was done. He was going to make clones that didn't feel... And that was so terrible. So this last clone comes in with a mask on and fights them with the mask on. I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly what they should have done. This is honestly how they should have introduced Junior. Just coming in with a mask on, and they're like, what in the world is going on? And he is beating the crap out of Henry. Like, if they didn't have that scene at the end, they should have had Henry be introduced that way. Coming in, breaking through, tackling him, and just going, what is happening? And it would have been funny if he was one step ahead, not even a step ahead of Henry, but Henry was sitting there going, looking up at like old positions he would have taken when he was younger. And so we see him like look up and he sees him and he goes, I would have done that. Or he like sees him take a shot. He's like, only I ever made that type of shot. Like things like that. And then finally, when he gets cornered, beats the crap out of him. And even Wong could be there. Like he fights all three of them and he does great. And then finally, Henry gets the upper hand because experience does trump skill. It could be an even fight, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially if you know him, like if you start guessing, and when he like pins the kid down, he goes, I know for a fact that that's a move only I do. Who trained you? Who sent you? And he rips the mask off, and then you have a younger version of yourself looking at you. That'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I would feel if I went to like a swim meet and I look over and there's just a young version of me in the water next to me. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to lose. I don't know if I could beat myself from 10 years ago swimming,
Mm-hmm.
And this movie I just felt like there should have been more just the psychological things, the ethical stuff. And at the end of the movie, just this hit squad would have come in. And it's just showing, or they find a whole facility of just clones. They're all like waiting to be like activated. They don't feel anything. That could have been a terrifying moment. They get up. They're all maybe wearing masks. And I know that might sound really cheesy, but that could have been just terrifying. Just all these men in suits, the same dang suits. And Junior just feels obsolete. Like I can't imagine how Boba Fett must feel when he looks at clones.
Mm-hmm.
Even though knowing he is a clone, it
is something we see in the Clone Wars a lot. We see clones looking at other clones and thinking, we're literally the same person. And then we have others who look at each other and they're like, we might look the same, but we are not the same.
Well, some of them shave their head differently. They mark their armor differently. They want to be...
They have tattoos.
Yeah, they want to be... And it's terrible because they are all people. They just look the same. And that's what's so unique about individuality. But the part where... Oh, what was the bad guy's name?
Varys.
Varys was saying, we can send these people out. We can send them out and not have to worry about families dying. And you just see Henry going, these are like my children. These look just like me. You're going to send me out constantly. First off, I know for a fact that if you send a squad of 10 of me's at 25, no one's getting out alive.
Mm.
And but still though, they are living people. Or are they? Or are they not? Was that last clone living? Because apparently he didn't feel anything. He couldn't talk. He was just this mute little... It was so sad.
It was sad.
It messed
And
me up. That last part messed me up.
his death was just kind of lame to me.
Really?
Okay, I'm gonna illustrate how he died.
Oh, was
right?
it just the... Okay.
They had the fight, and it was an epic fight. And
He's got incendiary rounds in his shotgun. It's terrifying. They've thrown stuff at him. They've shot him, and he keeps moving.
yep, and Danny, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, is shot in the back of the leg earlier on, right? And so she can't participate in the fight as much, but she can shoot. Anyway, they have the fight. It gets intense. It's a really good fight. Almost Duel of the Fates level.
It was
without
pretty
lightsabers.
cool. Yeah.
It was a good fight. And then Danny takes one of the little propane tanks, right? The little handheld ones.
Yeah, because they're in a little warehouse.
And she throws it and shoots it and it explodes.
Fabulous.
Right? And then Junior takes the shotgun that this mysterious mysterious third-party figure, super soldier came in with, and starts shooting him. Shoots him like 4 times in the chest. And I think the camera angles were just so
the camera
off.
angles were weird, and it was slow
weird,
motion.
and
The
they
cinematography was
slow-mode.
weird.
Yeah, they slow-mode the shots so that he kind of like flailed about really slowly, and then he'd start moving forward again. He get shot again, and it was too repetitive. And then this is what I'm talking about his death, from the point where he gets lit on fire, essentially. He's wearing like a full Kevlar suit.
Yeah.
He's bulletproof.
Yeah. But that still hurts.
But it still hurts.
It should.
And it will bruise you, and it will do damage to your internals.
But he just kept going, and
but
it
he
was
kept
so
going,
sad.
and he kept getting shot in the chest, and finally, he slumps back, and they take his helmet off, and it's another younger version of
Henry, and it's
Henry,
just staring
and
at him.
He's staring at him, and he just dies.
Well,
it just felt, to me, it felt anticlimactic. I feel like there should have been, she shoots the propane tank, it explodes, blows his helmet off from the explosion, and they look at him and they're like, it's another one, what the heck? And he kind of looks at them, and I kind of want, like, in my mind's eye, I'm imagining this third Henry, this other clone, looks at them, recognizes them finally as himself, looks down at the fire, and I kind of feel like I feel like it would feel more impactful to me if he undid the jacket and let them shoot him.
No, wow.
To end him, right? That would be more to me, it would feel more impactful, and I think it would be subconsciously, it would be like, wow, ethics kind of thing.
My thing, I was thinking of, I kind of like that, but I think that him kind of just, I feel like if he just kept getting shot, I feel like he should have kept walking. They should have done the slow motion, but it should have been a rifle, and just bam, and it's going in, bam, you see bam, and it like hits something like along his cheek, and you see like the eyelid visor tearing away. We're starting to see a familiar face. Or just, Danny and Henry, after tag teaming, which I actually love them getting together, because Junior knew something was off, and then when he finally sees this older counterpart of him, he's so confused. He's been lied to. I really love that. I actually want to go more into that, but before that, this I would have wanted them tag teaming, working together, and, you know, 2 of Henry versus 1. I feel like that should have been, it would have still been a hard fight, especially if this one doesn't feel pain. I wish they would have had knives. They're stabbing into him and he's just flicking it off. But I think the death of him, like, slumping down and just breathing heavy, and they take off the mask, and Henry knew. I wish Henry would have just known right away, like, I know what this is, and takes it off. She asks him, "Can you feel anything?" And I wish they would have been like, you know, good Lord, he doesn't talk. He's just this machine. But I wish they could have recognition. I wish he looks at them and then looks in and you know, the whole movie they talk about mirrors. I wish he would have looked into the reflection and seen himself, you know, wounded, and he sees the face, and the face is looking down at him, and, you know, realization hits that he's, you know, it's just terrible. I would have loved, like, the whole mirror thing, looking up, seeing what it is, and it just kind of goes down. And then from that point, I don't think Varys should have died there. I feel like Varys should have gotten away, and the building should have had a few more of those. You know, Winter Soldier type stuff. Like, he's about to let loose a bunch of super soldiers out there because that's what he was going for.
Yeah, it was.
And I feel like he's the type of guy who, I don't care what you've done. If he would have made 1, he would have made more. He doesn't care. He's a man who's like, I'm going to make this squadron of the best soldiers, and I don't care. Ugh. And I'm glad a lot of, like, innocent soldiers didn't. Oh, no, they did die. Never mind. I was about to say Gemini. I feel bad for the guys who work at Gemini.
Yeah.
It would have been nuts, though, if all the soldiers in that last scene all were clones. And they all are wearing the same uniform, the same helmet. And yes, people are like, well, that's cheesy. That's it. I'm like, but that's what they would do. They would just shove them in all this protective gear. And, well, imagine if you were fighting another country and you're just fighting these crazy men, and you finally kill one of these elite soldiers. You kill 2 of them. And you're like, oh my gosh, we just killed 2 twin brothers. And then you realize, like, oh my gosh, what is America doing? Like, just the unethicalness. Oh, but is it? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Especially if you're making them just to be, I don't know. Because I feel like if they don't have any mental programming except just, I don't know. I'd rather just make robots. It's so weird to me. Sorry, I really love the idea of clones. Like I said, Ben Reilly is one of my favorite Spider-Men, and I really don't like what they did to him in the last Into the Spider-Verse movie. He's supposed to be a very tragic character, him and Kane. I really wish Kane was in the next movie, and him and Ben go at it. I wish Kane is on Miles' side. He's like, screw you, you're stupid, you know better than this. Because they're brothers. It would be cool if that in their world, their Peter died. And they had to pick up the slack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Clones. It's not my favorite thing in the world. Like, I love the Star Wars version of the clones. I've talked to you guys already about how much I hate the sequel series, the sequels.
Really?
And
like 1, 2, and 3? Oh no, those are
sequels.
prequels. I'm so sorry.
No,
I got so confused. I was
7,
like,
8, and 9.
Okay, yes.
And episode 9 especially, like, I just felt let
down
down
they
because
cloned...
they cloned
Palpatine.
And
Spoilers.
they're like, it's been out long enough. It's not spoilers.
I
Shut
haven't
up.
even seen it. I don't
No,
care.
I
I don't want to.
But it's, yeah, they cloned Palpatine, and I just felt super, like, almost like a gut punch. You know,
I mean, they
it's
cloned
like
Star Killers in the video game.
Yeah, but that's a little different, right? Because Palpatine is dead.
He was dead before they cloned him.
Yeah.
They probably had Star Killer sample many years on. But what they're trying to say is Palpatine, that's the same Palpatine.
Yeah, and it's not.
But because this Star Killer, correct me if I'm wrong, in the second game, you're a clone.
You're a clone.
But they
you are different.
But they injected his memories somehow.
Yeah.
And that's
he is a different person.
He just has flashes of like Juno, and he wants to get her again. I never played it. I know that you could have like 2 alternate endings, and you die from like another clone, or you save Juno.
Yeah, I've only played the first one.
Oh, I want to play. I need a remaster, or I need Starkiller introduced, because we all know that he is ready, because he's the best Darth Maul, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Because he's been Darth Maul longer. Like, I love the OG Darth Maul. I love him so much, but he doesn't say anything. He's in one movie. If they
well,
oh, he's in Solo.
He is in Clone Wars, and he has a really big part in Clone Wars.
Well, no. I mean, the actor who played Starkiller.
Yes.
I'm talking about the OG actor from the first movie.
Yes,
Has only played him in one other movie, and that was Solo.
You're talking about Sam Witwer.
Yes, I love Sam Witwer.
Sam Witwer is...
He is a nerd.
Awesome.
He is awesome. He was a great Doomsday in Smallville.
He's one of the only people who can out-nerd Dave Filoni.
Yeah. Him and Henry Cavill are two of the best actors for what they were doing. They love
Agreed.
stuff. He was Emperor, and he almost could have done Emperor Palpatine. You ever heard him do Palpatine's
I have.
voice?
I have.
He's amazing. Oh, and he's like, I could do Palpatine's voice. And they're like, no, they do it. Oh my gosh, you could do it. That's why voice actors are amazing. And people are saying that a voice actor should do Doctor Doom for the new series, and I'm kind of here for it. So,
I mean, it could work
Could
a
work.
lot better.
I mean, they got a voice actor to do Venom for the video game, even though he played Candyman, but he just goes off doing villains, and he's amazing at it. Anyway, that's a very big tangent. So with these clones, yeah, it's just times it was definitely a cheap cop out. Like, seriously, like, I don't think, like, oh, let me just get an idea here about... Oh my gosh, they're like, the Emperor has... I can't. Oh man, we are not here to talk about that. But I totally get where you're coming from, and I get that it's... I just felt like this movie could have been so... If you could take away one scene and replace it with two, what would you do?
Take away one, replace it with two?
Yes.
Oh boy.
I'm making you think.
I would take out the last section, the last fight.
With the third clone?
The third clone.
Oh, sorry, with the second clone.
The second clone. The third Henry.
The third Henry.
I would take that away. And instead I would have them, you know, Junior goes up, knocks out Claveris, and then they you know, work together. They take out the last few Gemini soldiers, after he's, you know, zip tied Claveris to the thing. Honestly, what I would have done is I would have had the three, they go back up to the top of the building to Claveris. He does his speech thing. And then I would have had Danny shoot him instead of Henry or Junior.
Okay, because I laughed so hard. So Claveris raised Junior. He raised him as a son. And we kind of see him slip. And I think he really did care for Junior. And that's what kind of stinks is he was getting torn, but he was kind of seeing him as, you know, a thing to be used. But he wanted to raise his son. He wanted to give, quote unquote, Henry a good father figure because Henry didn't have one growing up. His father tried to drown him to see if he could swim, which please, parents, do not, if your child cannot swim yet, don't do that. Drives me nuts. That's not a good way to teach your kids how to swim. It will traumatize them. Speaking as someone who taught for over 5 years, please don't ever do that. Anyway.
Don't traumatize your kids.
Don't traumatize your kids.
Teach them anything, period.
Nope, never, never.
There's always a better way.
There's always a better way. Get a swim instructor. Anyway. Clay is, you know, he does this big spiel. He's getting called out for making that third clone. And he's trying to tell Henry, like, look, Henry, you are the solution to everything. We can do this, and no one will ever lose their sons again. No one will ever lose their children. Husbands will never have to leave their homes. We will solve the issue with you. And Henry goes, these are people. Because I couldn't imagine watching myself get massacred. Younger versions of me, Because all of us would love to look at younger versions of ourselves. If me from 2013, 2014, walk through that, 2013, right when I graduated high school. Yes, I'm that old. Walk through that door right now and crying and say, I need guidance from you. I would help him. He would move in here with me. I would help him. I'd definitely take him to my mom as well. I know my mom would want me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
He would be the youngest out of all my siblings. My youngest sister would be older than him, but my sisters would want to have a chance to interact with he would want to go from the oldest brother to the youngest. It would be insane. And I just can't imagine Henry thinking about himself, like multiple versions of him, his younger selves, his regrets, this monster he became, going out and killing people again and again and again. And Varys never saw that. And
No.
Varys said a line which I think there should have been at least one clone. He should never have said, I should have cloned myself. He just should have done it.
No.
No?
No.
No.
I like how they did it in the movie. I was thinking that too, but then Clay Varys wasn't Henry Brogan. Henry Brogan was the perfect weapon.
And they could kill him super easy.
And
If they ever stood out of line, all you do is shoot him with... Henry is deathly allergic to bees.
Yeah, they shoot him with bee venom, and
Or they just drown him because he can't swim.
Mm-hmm.
No, he should be.
Swim.
No, he should be able to swim. Sorry,
He can
He's
swim.
just terrified of drowning.
Yeah,
which I am. I swim very well, but I don't like the ocean.
I'm right there with you. I can swim, probably not as well as you. Definitely not as well as you. But I can swim. I can hold my own. But I am terrified of drowning.
Oh man, that fight scene with her just underwater, and she saves him because Junior's got him hold down, and he's just getting conflicted with the. I thought there were some great scenes. So you would take away.
I would take away Henry number 3 completely. I'd replace that with the 3 of them go up to confront.
And she kills him.
tied up
And I
Varys.
forgot to say, I remember the tangent that we went on is that Junior confronts him, puts the gun right up to Varys and says, you were always wrong about this, Pop. Goodbye. And he's about to shoot him. And
Henry grabs the gun and says, nope.
Love this scene. Loved
No. Henry stopped Junior from killing his father figure, which would have haunted Junior for the rest of his life.
it. And he takes the gun.
And then he takes the gun, and then Henry shoots him.
Just looks at him and shoots him point blank. I started
point blank in the face.
I
and
started laughing
was-
instantly. Even before he shot, I was laughing already. But I think your scene, I feel like that scene could have stayed. But then we just hear a poof, and you just see him slump over, and you just see Dany with her pistol out or a gun out.
I mean, she had the
Shotgun.
no, she had it was a rifle.
Oh, rifle. Yeah, she did have the rifle. Yeah, she could have shot him with the rifle.
I think
while they were
she
talking.
shoots him with the rifle
While
'cause
they're
he's-
both.
I think he's spitting at them and saying we could have had the greatest army ever,
They could have.
and it would have involved it. All it would have been is you.
But you're taking
You would have-
away...
You would have been the one-man army split into 1,000,000, and then she shoots him to stop his rant.
And I know many people are like, this is just lame. That's what they did with Jango Fett. And you're right. And this is kind of... They were trying to combat droids. They had to do something to mass produce them. And they took the best bounty hunter ever, and they made clones out of them.
And a lot of the Jedi had issues with it.
And guess
A
what?
lot of them had
because
issues
they
with
knew
it.
it was going to be trouble. And guess what happened?
Uh-huh.
Only a clone. Have you seen is it Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic? Not Old Republic. There was it was another game, and there was a cutscene for it, and it shows these clones. It shows that some clones rejected it. They somehow fought against it because they were defective, and they're fighting. And this, Sith comes in, and it shows a clone like he knocks the lightsaber out, and he is punching and going fist to fist with a Jedi. I mean, a Sith Lord, and he's winning. Tackles him, beats the crap out of him, and I'm like, wait a minute, are they genetically modified like that? And someone said a little bit, but for the most part, Jango Fett was just that much of a monster. And I was like, oh, that's insane.
Yeah, no, Jango Fett was the most effective bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Doesn't he make magnetic gloves to Paul's guns back? Something like that, and he almost shot Count Dooku because of them. Oh no, I love clones, and I feel like it should have been. Because Cadmus from DC Universe, they made Superboy, and it was so unnerving, and there were so many clones after, and they had these ones that were wrong, that were messed up, and had pure rage. They had no intuition. They were just made, and it was just a Kryptonian set loose, And that was one part that I love is Varys looks at Junior, and he's standing next to Henry at that final confrontation. He goes, "Isn't he perfect? Your tenacity with my mentality. Look at our boy." And I and I was like, oh, you piece of crap. This is just Lex Luthor and Superman. And I loved it. And even though many people this movie might have been cliched and might have been predictable, there should have been a few things taken out. And it could have just been more. We should have gone more on this, especially. I love the concept of like not ethnical, ethical. I keep saying ethnic, ethical debate about if this is right or wrong. If we just made these drones that could replace us, would that be fair, or are you taking away their free will, and is that just wrong?
In my personal opinion, it's the intent behind the cloning that settles the debate on whether or not it's ethical. If your intent is to create life for the sole purpose to destroy, that's unethical. That is wrong on so many levels. However, if you are creating life because
what is the ethical version of cloning?
Life, I don't know.
Because that right there, to some Christians, is
kind of wrong, and it's
quote unquote playing God there, and it's like.
But at the same time, if you're creating life, right? I don't know. I feel like it's the intent behind it and what you do with the clone. If you take the clone and you pull a Boba Fett, right? And Jango Fett has his son that is separate from...
That boy was good enough to be his son. I don't care what they say.
No, I agree. They take... If you take that... I don't know.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
The ethics of cloning is rough.
I feel like if we're bringing back certain animals, I feel like that will be cool. Not doing dinosaurs. No.
No, but I feel like if we could bring back, you know the movie Rio?
Yeah.
Those birds are
no, they are not extinct. They are highly endangered at this point. They were at the point of extinction. They are actually coming back.
Last I heard, they were gone.
Wait, let me check. Let me check real quick. The blue macaw, right?
Yeah, I believe
blue
so.
Macaw. I read something about it recently. Let's see. Population less than 7,000. It's in its extinction phase.
Okay.
Because when you're under like 100,000, it's endangered. And then we're under 1 million. But yeah, let's see. Oh, that's morbid. Thanks. Saw a bunch of just dead versions of them. Mm-hmm. They're vulnerable right now, but they're making a comeback.
Okay. In the last 50 years, we've lost the Pinta giant tortoise, which is an icon of the Galapagos Islands. They're gone.
It's probably why.
We still have giant tortoises, just not that breed. We've lost the splendid poison frog, which went extinct in 2020. The Spix's macaw was declared extinct in 2019.
There's only 2 females left of the white rhino.
Uh-huh.
But I don't understand why they don't breed them with other rhinos.
The western black rhino went extinct. A few other birds, a few fish. Yeah. Honestly, if we could bring some of those,
They're gonna
some of those
surrogate.
back,
They're gonna surrogate white rhinos.
are they?
Yep, and that in a way is kind of cloning, but not really.
Kind of, but not.
Kind of, but not. So that's gonna be cool. Hopefully they'll do that. They might do surrogate. They might do surrogate cloning with woolly mammoths with elephants.
That's weird.
Yeah, mastodons, all that stuff. Oh my God, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
I would love to see one.
I feel like bringing some of those creatures back would be okay, solely for the purpose of preserving a species. I think that is an ethical reason to clone, in my humble opinion.
If the population of Earth is going down, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
For war, though,
Nope.
no. That's no.
I think a scene, if we already talked about a scene I would taken out, but the scene of motorcycles I wish would have just been it should have just been maybe older him was on it or younger him was trying to get away. But I feel like older him, you have an actor, you have a stunt double doing those scenes, and you just have younger him running up on the rooftops because they're in Cambodia and he's just shooting out the tires and Will Smith can't get away. And then finally it's a fist fight. He's wearing a mask to conceal his identity, which he should have done if he was a top assassin like that, and knocked off the mask at some point. And there should have just been a lot of cat and mouse, can't get away. It should have been a lot scarier, a lot worse. And then finally he's starting to realize, I wish he didn't really have mirrors the older he got, and he hasn't really seen what he looks like Junior. You know, they both kind of can't look into mirrors. That was kind of a big thing from Henry. But, you know, it's funny that Varys takes away his mirrors and he's not really looking at mirrors. He's like, I don't want you to get distracted by your personal image. You are a soldier, nothing else. So, I don't know, something like that. But I just feel like there should have been a bigger shock when he sees, you know, an older him. You know, maybe he even could have thought he was his dad. Like you said, no, I thought that man... You know, is that my father? Like anything like that? Is that like, did my parents both die? And he goes, he's not your father. Like imagine just, that could have been so, like the scene of Danny figuring out he's a clone was awesome.
I agree. That was good.
She was a great character. She was well done. I really wish we could have seen more of her strengths. I'm glad it wasn't like in a romantic way. It was just.
I agree.
It was.
We
very
both.
well.
I remember that when we first saw her, we both looked at each other and we were like, "Is this going to be another Babylon AD?"
Yeah.
But then it turned out to not be, and there was no romantic.
I did like though when she had to
between them, and it was
confront
cool.
Junior, and he's like, "Well, I know his interests. I know what he's like." But that brought up so many things. Because how does he know what Henry likes? Is it really going to be the same? Do you know? Like, is it just genetics that we're into? Is it nurture versus nature? Is it in his nature to like women like that? Like that to me is like, because he like knew exactly like he's going to be polite. He's going to know this, and I'm like, but he was trained by Varys. He could have been a hard. Almost said a bad word, but he could have just been. Just stern, you know, and I wish he would have been more like that. Like he was giving this outer visage of his nurture, and it was just this hardened guy who's going to get the job done. He's got, is it Varys? I'm always scared I'll say it wrong. He's got Varys in him, but then the nature of his DNA of Henry is telling him to be different. He's fighting it. I wish we would have seen it, like Zuko fighting his two dragons, you know?
Yeah.
It would have been cool to see that. And he literally snaps halfway through
Imagine.
the movie. Like, he's got Henry pinned down, and I wish he would have shot him with the allergy, and it, like, is the final thing. And he's sitting there, and Henry's going into shock, you know, he's allergic, and he's swelling up and everything. And he's shot Danny in the leg. Maybe this could be the part where the Baron dies, you know, Wong's character dies. You know, I don't know, anything like that. Or he's got them both cornered or wounded, whatever. They can't help him. He's gotten their guns taken away. He's broken someone's leg, something like that. Like, he's just kind of snapped, and he's going to take Henry down. And when he sees him having the allergic reaction, he realized, like, this man is telling the truth. He's not my father. I'm a test subject. Good Lord, I'm a freak. And he stabs the EpiPen in him. Like, anything like that.
We kind of saw that in a way, but it was more he was testing. He wanted to believe that Henry was telling the truth. And so when, you know, he shoots him in the barn
With the bee venom. That was
with the bee
awesome.
venom,
And I told you, I'm
was-
like, that's going to come into play later.
it was a test. I think it was more of a test than anything. He didn't actually want to kill him.
I think that's how they should have killed the clone, is with bee venom. That's because I
Yeah.
really needed to see, like, you know, and they even could have had him, you know, not have the mask. They shoot him through the suit, and it, like, not the Kevlar, but maybe he's got, like, part of it ripped off, or like an exposed neck, and he sees the black skin, and he shoots, and it hits him, and you see the assassin, and it falls over. And I say it, but I have to say it for this. You know, it falls over, and it's having the reaction. They take the mask off, and it's swelling. That would have been more tragic. That would have been messed up. That probably would have made me cry if we watched that movie. I would have been terrified. Because I felt like that's why they brought up the allergic reaction. It was a key role. And I felt like that could have been, I'm like, they're going to kill somebody with bee venom at some point in this movie, and they didn't. And I kind of think they should have. And I know that might have been predictable, especially I predicted it, but I would have loved, like, they're fighting, and Junior sees, he's like beating the crap out of Henry, and he sees the exposed neck from the mask, and he sees the black skin and goes, oh no, and he shoots him with the bee venom. He pulls the bee venom gun out and shoots him, bink, and he seizes on top of Henry. That would have messed us both up. That would have messed everybody up.
Yeah.
Nobody would have had a good time. I would have been sad. You would have been sad.
Yeah, you're not
Everyone
wrong.
in the audience would have been sad. I feel like bee venom into his neck would have been great. Burning down the facility with the other clones would have been highly important. Gemini should have not been given any chance. And I feel like that random woman from Gemini, or whoever from the facility, did not get her dues. She was so minimalistic, and I felt like she should have been a bigger role. I don't even remember her name.
Janet.
Janet was a
He
mean word.
really-
A witch.
We really didn't see much of her either.
And then randomly, he's like, there's two gunners coming on your... Like, what did that mean?
10 and 2.
Yeah,
meaning
were there two people coming to kill her? Or
two
what
people
was...
there, snipers pointed at her as a deterrent, I guess, to keep her from doing anything stupid.
Were they actually there, or were they not? Like, was that all just a lie? That's what
I don't know.
that scene was so random and confusing to me. And the dude coming in on the bike doing the telegram, basically, I was like, what is happening right now? That was so random. I didn't really like that scene. I felt like she really shouldn't have really been in this movie if she was just going to be a tiny part. She didn't get her comeuppance, or whatever that word is said. She didn't get anything. We didn't see anything. And his friend, his handler, who, you know, I don't know. It just felt so vague. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
There was just a few characters that didn't get enough attention. All the attention was on Will Smith and CGI young Will Smith, and it could have been a lot better. Will Smith, though, was best choice for this movie.
I agree.
I don't think maybe. Oh, they did it kind of in Logan. Spoilers, there's a clone of Wolverine in Logan. And it was very well done. I love clones. Because clones are terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And this clone was just Wolverine raging. That was all he was made for. Project 24. And he just adamantium bones and adamantium, claws and everything. And the big last fight is old dying Wolverine versus a young. Oh, it's so sad. Ugh. Anyway, I find that this movie had a wonderful cast. I feel like I was captivated. I don't think I really ever looked at my phone this movie. I might have a few scenes to look up certain actors, but I really felt like I was into this movie. I think maybe a few parts with Janet, I was like, this is kind of lame.
Mm-hmm.
But it was solid. Just had a solid story. Story-wise, excellent story. I feel like it just wasn't executed properly. And we get a few of those.
Yeah.
But we also get some movies that their stories are absolute garbage.
Babylon AD.
Babylon AD. You got something in your throat, man?
Yep. So, what out of 10, what would you rate this movie?
6. I rated a 6.
All right.
I think a 6. 3 out of 5. Give it a nice middle. It was fine.
I'm thinking 6.5 for me.
It really was I think it should have gotten a little more love, but again, the world was kind of going crazy. It's definitely a good movie to rent for a night.
Oh, absolutely. And if it's on, right?
If it's on a streaming service, go for it.
Do it. It is a good movie.
But just remember, this isn't made in 2010s. It was made in the 2020s. It looks...
There's a Tesla in this movie.
Oh my gosh, that was nuts.
That kind of freaked us out.
We were like, whoa, a Tesla. I can't think of a movie with a Tesla in it. But I was like, oh, that was so nice. And it was like beautiful black and all the Tesla symbols were red. I was like, that's gorgeous. The villain was great. And I wish they would have put more stress on his plan and going through to it. I feel like it should have been more of, I did it. I don't care. He's always the type of guy who's like, I've already done it. I raised one of these boys. I already made a bunch of them. I don't care. We've got it settled down. And
I mean, I feel like either that or maybe he makes the claim, okay, I wasn't going to clone more of you until you were done. Or until you made until you decided to do stupid and look into the Gemini project.
Honestly, no. I feel like he'd be the type of guy who says he saw Henry do a few work and they just sped up I don't even know if you can speed up the process. How do you speed up? You don't. I don't think you can. You have to grow them. And I wish we could have gone into the facility and we see just different.
Could have got Jaden in there. Yeah.
Yeah. We just have Jaden Smith walks in. He's a clone that isn't just right, but he looks different. I don't know anything like that. I think the test tubes, we could have gotten that in a way like they secretly have been growing these things I say things, I feel so bad calling them that. But, they were, for the sake of this, they just had a bunch of them already on hold. He took one of them and raised it, but the rest were just growing. And he had maybe 10 all ready to go. Which makes no sense, because how would they... You can't... There's no way you can speed up the growing process. I don't believe so.
I don't know. They did in Clone Wars, but that's Star Wars.
That's Star Wars. So. That's sci-fi. That means they had 2 clones? That's what bugs me, is if they had 2, if they had a third one, if they had a second junior running around, they should have had more. That's just my beef. That's part of why I say get rid of the third. Unless you're going to have more waiting and on standby, I don't see it happening. So it was kind of lame to do one more So unless they had more ready and they had maybe a bunch and like, man, they imagine opening a room and it's just a bunch of them just on tables getting ready to,
iRobot style.
yeah, or like being reawakened, like they're just been in like this weird like stasis, but they've been, I don't know, how do you train that? How do you do stuff? How does it programmed? That thing had to be trained on the side, and Junior had no idea. That is,
Yeah.
I wish
don't
they
know.
could have explained that more. So either they had more, and he was and he was going under Gemini and training a bunch of them. It would have been cool if he actually had a squadron come in, and it was all of them wearing the masks, and they were doing drills, and they were being effortless and purpose and perfect. And you just saw Junior, watching, going, "These guys are good." And then later on, that squad comes in, and you realize, oh, those are all a bunch of Henry clones. Anything like that. All in all, 3 out of 5 movie. Will Smith was wonderful in this. I felt like there were some parts of the scene where it really looked like the Fresh Prince was talking to a modern day Will Smith. It really made me think about what I would want to do if I got to meet my younger self, but we don't. We don't get to deal with that. But I would hope that if we did, that we would be kind to them and just build them up. And I like the end of the movie. He was trying to be like, I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. And he's like, well, I'm not you.
I want to make some of those mistakes myself.
And I love that. And that ending was, I felt good.
That was a very satisfying end.
I was very satisfied. He's going into college. Him and Henry are good. He's honestly raising him. I really wish it like showed him like not raising him, but he's there for him.
He's like I don't know, almost like the uncle that takes over for the parents
If they
when the
die.
parents are gone.
Yeah, and what better person to do that than someone who looks just like you and knows how you. But would he really think just like Henry? Would he have those same things? I mean, I love these sort of questions. Honestly, we'd love to hear from you guys about this. Really, send us stuff. Comment on these stuff. I want to know what you all think about this movie. So, but yeah, I think for now that's all about what we've got. You got anything for them, Tim?
I don't. Just be kind. Remember that we're all people. Whether we're clones or not, we're still people.
Ooh. Whether we're clones or not, I like that. This was a fun episode, and thank you all for listening. And until next time, we will see you later, pitches. Bye.
Mm-hmm.